Hey guys, this video is going to be a review of Reign Season 3, Episode 15, Safe Passage. And yes, this is the first video review I've made since the show came back after its winter break. I've been writing my reviews on my blog, but I haven't been making videos, so we're going to change that for this episode. Because I haven't been making video reviews and have instead been writing on my blog, you may not know that I have not been happy with the episodes recently, and I have talked about this on my blog. But just a lot of what has been happening in the show recently has been annoying me more than anything else. That being said, I did feel better about this episode in comparison to last episode. Still not really happy with it overall, but felt better than I did last week. And because this was a huge episode and a lot of stuff happened, I feel like I could very easily ramble on for half an hour. So I'm going to try to just pick out the biggest things I want to talk about, which means that I'm probably not going to talk about some other stuff that happened that I even want to talk about. That scene towards the end of the episode where Mary just comes back when she was on her way to Scotland and shows up with her army and with her new sword and just rides up to the castle and demands that everyone leaves kind of felt out of place for me, because for one thing, she'd already left and was going to Scotland, and then she realized she needed to come back, and so she's doing this whole savior thing for Catherine. And I kind of get how it could be that Catherine's helped her for so long and now she's helping Catherine, but just the way it played out felt strange to me. I don't think I felt the sense of satisfaction that I was supposed to get from that scene. Overall, it's just been really frustrating lately because I've been talking for ages about how badly I want Mary to go back to Scotland. I've wanted it for such a long time that I can't even remember when I started really wanting it. But despite the fact that this is something I've wanted for so long, I really, really don't like how they're handling it on the show so far. For one thing, Sebastian and Narcisse coming along with Mary, I just don't understand why that has to happen. I talked about this in my blog post for last week's episode, but I'm very frustrated about Sebastian's feelings for Mary being brought back up when they just seem to come out of nowhere. They haven't been there for a whole season or 2 seasons or whatever at this point, and then suddenly they're there again and bothering him, and it just seems so out of the blue and strange, and also convenient because all their other love interests are out of the way, and now Delphine came back in this episode and got killed in this episode, so she's completely out of the way. I'm just really frustrated that whole thing. I would probably be okay with Sebastian going with Mary under different circumstances, but as they have done it, I hate it, and I really don't want them together. Under different circumstances, I could see myself enjoying a romance between Mary and Sebastian, but just the way that it was suddenly thrown out there again, that didn't feel natural, and I just don't like the way they're doing it. Then when it comes to Narcisse, I hate Narcisse. I've hated Narcisse from the beginning. I've never liked him. Obviously, he's supposed to be a character that you hate, but I don't even mean that I don't like him that way. I don't like him as a person. I also don't like him as a character. I never have. I don't like his role in the show. I've never liked any storyline Narcisse has been in. So clearly, because of all that, I'm not so thrilled about him going to Scotland with Mary. Even though he'll probably wind up in England soon and be with Lola, I honestly would have loved if he had just been thrown aside with the change of scenery, because they did seem to get rid of a lot of characters really quickly, which I think is because they're going to be split between 3 different countries, and so they wanted as few characters as possible for that, so they could introduce new characters in Scotland and whatnot. And I just don't understand why Narcisse couldn't have been a part of that, because I do not want him in the show. I have never wanted him in the show, and I'm just really angry about that. But then on top of that, I just don't like him going to Scotland with Mary. I don't like that Mary's they built up this whole thing about Mary not needing her ladies and getting rid of them on the show, and they're all almost gone now except for Lola, who isn't actually with Mary, and then on top of that they spend Narcisse and Sebastian with her, so which kind of undermines this whole independent marrieds thing that they seem to be going for. And again, I could probably still be okay with some people from France going with Mary to Scotland. I just don't like the specific way that they've chosen to do it in the show. Despite me talking about how we're probably going to be divided between 3 different countries, I know that we don't like for sure know that we're going to continue to see France, because like I said, they are like killing off a lot of people in France, not necessarily killing off, but getting rid of a lot of people from France. Greer's gone now. Delphine, although she was a minor character, is gone, and it just seems like they were kind of condensing the cast in Scotland. Definitely think we're going to continue to see England based on what I know from history, and also just because it seems like that's important for the show. Could have seen them completely ending the storyline in France, and I almost, after this episode, would be leaning towards them not showing France anymore if it weren't for the ending with Catherine and her kids, where they learned the truth about her getting Claude beaten to become regent, and Charles kind of like threatens her. And that, to me, kind of implies that we're going to continue to like check up with them in France. I really want to, because Catherine is my favorite character, so I would love for her to remain on the show, but I'm not sure. I do think that it's going to have to be reduced. The amount of time we spend in France will have to be less, since Mary will now be in Scotland. But I do hope that we do get to see some of France at least. I'm also very glad that Kristoff is dead, because I hated him just kind of similarly to how I hate Narcisse. Although Kristoff is probably a worse person, but character-wise, I didn't like Kristoff. I didn't like his role in the story or anything like that, so I'm very glad that he's dead. All of the negativity that I've expressed aside, though, we are finally going to get Mary in Scotland, which is something that I've wanted for a very long time. And I'm trying to stay hopeful that I will enjoy the story once she's in Scotland, even if I don't really like how this whole thing has played out. I do understand why this would be really difficult for them. Obviously, having to switch like your main character going off to Scotland and leaving a lot of your other main characters behind and things like that is going to be a very difficult transition. So I'm trying to keep that in mind when I'm not very happy with their decisions, and I am optimistic that they can still do something really awesome once Mary's in Scotland and they kind of settle into the new sort of way things are for the show. I am hopeful, despite not being super happy about the last few episodes. And I will see you guys later. Bye.